Welcome, friends. We have a brief message for you. Good afternoon, guests. We soon will be commencing Theocafe. Please make yourselves comfortable. We have a brief message for you, as always.
Welcome to Theocafe. Before we begin, we'd like to set a few ground rules and guidelines to make things run as smoothly as possible. Number 1, disagreement does not mean disrespect. Diversity is a good thing, which means we will all have different opinions to share. Let's hear each other out respectfully. Number 2, deconstruct ideas, not the person. If you disagree with someone, by all means challenge a statement constructively. Another way to say this is play the ball, not the player. Number 3, be willing to have your ideas challenged and be ready to back yourself with evidence. Just my opinion is not the end of the conversation. And finally, your insight is valuable to us and we all want to hear it, including our online participants. So please use a microphone when you share your questions or comments. We'll get it to you as quick as we can. Now that we've established our ground rules and our guidelines, please enjoy Theocafe.
Well, welcome everybody to Theocafe. Who can now name one of the house rules that we just set down in that piece of Theocafe preamble that you were all meant to be listening to? No, that has nothing to do with it. Thank you very much, Brian. That's good, excellent. There were some people listening. Thank you, wonderful. There's more people even coming into the car park. So, yeah, I have been in the op shop again. Yes, absolutely. And this will return to the op shop. So, Theocafe this month is slightly different. And I'm really excited about how different it is. Because I was so wrong when I first did this quiz. And I think it's so important that I was wrong. And there was so much that I learned from it. So, welcome everybody to Theocafe. I've been lying to you if you've been here at the other services. I didn't mean to lie to you. It was only until this afternoon I realised the quiz is actually a bit longer than I thought. But it's not a long, odious quiz, I promise you. And once we've had the quiz, I guarantee you there will be some discussion about it. So, sorry, what was that? It should. Yep. It is absolutely entrapment. I agree. So,
We'll design some phony certificates and send them to you in the mail. Maybe.
good, yes. You'll all receive a certificate in the mail with how well you did. So does everybody have a pen of some kind and some paper? Yep, good. If you don't, it's okay. You can bring out, it's interesting, on mobile phones these days, some would refer to them as smartphones. There's quite often a note-taking app. If you need help finding that, I'm happy to help you. And you can actually write it on there. So if you don't have a pen and paper, you can probably do it on your phone. Good. I'm just waiting for Wayne to walk in. Very good question. Just my latte if you get a chance. Thank you. Rocco has some very strong opinions. So, Paul over here So Paul asked if we could use Grok to ask questions and take notes. Huh? So many blank stares, that's good. So we've located Paul as a troublemaker. So who knows what Grok is? Cool, good. So this is a teaching moment. Actually, Paul's gone from troublemaker to teacher. So Grok is one of those AI tools, and it's fantastic. It's actually, well, it's quite useful. So the answer to that question is no. Sorry, Paul. You cannot use Grok as a note taker because it will answer the questions for you quite accurately. Welcome, Wayne. Lovely to see you. Good. Paper's great. Paper's fine. You can use paper. Good. Excellent. All right, so this Theocafe is called What in the World for a very good reason. So if you don't mind bringing up the first question here. The only difficulty with this quiz, and I will, maybe you might need to bring up my volume a little bit. Yeah, no, I know, it's fine. We'll get there. That's all right. Rocco's just being vocal. He's allowed to. People talk a lot more than dogs talk, so we can't really complain. So I think the only way to get through this quiz is to answer, but ignore the answer. Whatever answer we make up here, ignore that. You're meant to answer in your own way, okay? So this quiz is all about our world. It's all about the makeup of our world and the geopolitical situation of the world today. And so on Sundays, you'll see priests like myself use the Gospels to speak into our world today. And we should do that because the Gospels aren't just historical text that tell you things about how things used to be. They should help to guide our lives today. Why should you believe any priest about the reality of our world, including myself, right? So this stuff is important. This is the kind of stuff that all the conspiracy theorists say, well, you know, the church or whatever religion they choose tries to keep quiet because it's not convenient, right? So this quiz we're going to go through is going to be completely based on statistics on the ground and real evidence about the reality of these questions. Okay? So that's what we're going to go through today. Now, I don't want anybody to feel good or bad about how well they did in this quiz, okay? I really don't. I mean, I want you all to feel good. That's great. But I don't want anyone... Yeah, no, I don't want anybody to feel bad. That's probably what I should have said about their sort of outcomes in this quiz, because we all come from a certain society that teaches us certain things, and you know, of course, all of our media and political information is always accurate and altruistic and all that sort of stuff. If you believe that, I've got some snake oil to sell you. So you don't have to feel bad about any of this. This is simply for objective understanding of the world and to help us understand it a bit better. All right, good. This is meant to be fun, not deep and meaningful. Good. All right, so the first question of this quiz, excuse me, you can mark this as question number 1 is, there are roughly 8 billion people in the world today. Which map best shows where they live? Don't worry if you're not a great geographer, okay? We're not going to be good at everything. So A, B, or C. Can you all see that okay? Well, we should kind of be able to tell what part of the world that's in. So we've got the Americas, we've got Asia, we've got Africa. have A, B, or C? Now remember, however it answers on the screen is just random because we're going to the next question, okay? It's not a... Good. Some honesty. That's excellent. Sorry? I can't tell you that you meant to...
Essentially, the first one says there's 2 billion in Africa,
Yep.
4 billion in Asia, 1 billion in Americas, and 1 billion in Europe. If you think that's right, pick A. And then have a look at the next, it's different.
Good. Yeah, this will be tough for the online viewers. I'm well aware of that, but it will be fun with the discussion phase, right? So, Wayne, do you have a paper or whatever you need? Great. Can you? Are we okay to move to the next question? So just answer any of them randomly. So I'm letting Josiah answer randomly so we can move to the next one. So this honestly is not an answer. Please don't go off our answers. It'll be worse than... Oh, no, it shows us what the answer is. Okay, that's disappointing. All right, actually, you know what, Josiah? That's tricky. Go down to the next one. Don't just ignore that. Next question. Well, you know what? We could do this one by one. That's fine. We're going to do the answers of this one by one, and it might surprise you. Okay. Yeah, go back on that. Okay. Probably back. Just back on the general.
Just click on the first question.
No, I mean up the top if you go back. So up near the URL. Yeah, it's very tricky when you're trying to do that on the laptop and the screen. Okay, you have too many Americans in your head. Okay, so cool. All right, click on the next one, sorry. So the answer to that first question is... It's B. So you're right, about 70% of people answer wrongly. Most people don't realise that more than half of the world's population lives in Asia. They probably don't realise that most things happen in Asia where almost 5 billion people live. Okay? So we're going to now do this question by question, which is even more fun, all right? Please don't feel bad. All right, next one. Well, that's great. Feel fantastic. Yeah, great. And tell everybody else that they're wrong, and you feel really good. Good. Next one. According to the United Nations, the world population will increase by another 2.4 billion people by 2100. The main reason is that there will be more A, children below age 15 or adults age 15 to 74. Do you want to scroll down, Josiah, a little bit if you can? Or very old above age 75. So you make a choice, A, B or C. Children below 15, adults 15 to 74, very old above 75. You can do it, Brian, I promise you. So the world population will increase by another 2.4 billion, oh my gosh, people by 2100. The main reason is that there will be more, which one? This isn't a tricky question, I don't think. Are we all ready? No Googling. Yeah, right, I'm kidding. You do, but yeah, it's fine. That's fine. Are we happy to move on? All right. So just random, click random. I've done this before, so I've cheated. Just go for it. Whatever. There will be more adults. 64% of people will answer this wrongly. There will not be more children at that time. There will be more adults. No, I didn't say that. That's old people. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, you'll be shot into the sun. Yep. Good. All right. Next question. What share of the world's population lives in countries where women on average have less than 3 babies? See, they're not all easy questions. 40%, 60%, or 80%? Don't say it out loud. Let people fill their own out. It's fine. Are we ready? That's okay. That's fine. We don't have to be ready yet. Oh, they have lots of babies. Whatever country that is, lots of babies. Yeah, so many. Yeah. I'm guessing 90%. There's not a white country you're talking about? No. No. Interesting. Yeah. This hat's very hot, but I'm keeping it on for effect. Yeah. Good, I'm glad. It's the Red Hatters Society, I think.
The odds of getting this right are about 3 to 1.
That's right. I'm probably going to do just one of the quizzes now because we're taking... I understand why, because when I first did this, I had no idea. So, but we'll probably just do one. The next one's about refugees, which is really interesting, but... Yeah, you don't want to stay here for 3 hours. All right. Good. Are we ready? Okay, so let's just randomly answer. Sure. Yep, good. 80% of the world's population lives in countries where women on average have fewer than 3 babies. C. Correct. That's counting all babies that have been birthed or tried to be birthed. Next question. There are 2 billion children in the world today, way too many, aged 0 to 14 years old. How many children will there be in the year 2100, according to the United Nations? Are we ready to go on? All right. Again. All right, this middle one, Josiah, that's fantastic. Good choice. What? We're wrong. There will be 2 billion children in the world today. C. Start thinking about why this stuff is important. about the perception of the world, about the perception of overpopulation that we've been sold for so long, and why these things that may be difficult, because to be completely honest, to me, when I was so wrong about this initially, I found it hard to accept. But actually, a lot of it is not negative, it's very positive, right? So, cool, all right. But don't think that all of them will be the opposite of what you think. Okay, cool. Next question. The total number... Brian, excuse me, thank you, good. I'm kidding. The total number of old people, I'm so sorry. This is just I did not word this, I promise you. The total number of old people in the world today, age 65 plus, you're kidding me, is expected to increase by 800 million by 2050. How much of the increase will happen? How much of the increase will happen in high-income countries? Yeah, sure. This is a hard one for online viewers, I understand that. I will read out the answers to the online viewers, yep. Alrighty, how are we going with that question? Can we move on? I'd love if we could. Good. Alright, so what was the question again? Can you just zoom up a little bit? Sorry, Josiah. We need to pay him double this afternoon, because it's... Yeah. Okay, so... They're not... I'm sorry, I did not word this. The total number of people worldwide aged 65 plus is... Why do they have to put all in there? Is expected to increase by 800 million by 2050. How much of the increase will happen in high-income countries? We're going to choose the middle. Who knows, Brian? Who knows? Oh my gosh, you're 15%. That is good. It is. Absolutely. So the answer for that one, for the online viewers, again, I'm sorry, I've completely neglected you, is 15%. Around 15% of the increase in old people by 2050 will happen in high-income countries. It's almost like low-income countries are slowly becoming a little less susceptible to early death rates. Maybe there's some progress being made. So much time for that. I expect it'll be good. All right, next one. By 2050, the number of By 2050, the number of people aged 65 plus will double everywhere except low income, middle income, or high income countries. After all of this too, I will give you the websites to go to that will give you the in-depth breakdown of why this is, how they got the data, and what that data could potentially mean for our society. Okay? So I only haven't given it to you beforehand because I didn't want you to go cheat, like I would have. That would have been handy. I didn't think of that, sorry. How are we going with that question? I don't want to rush people. Are we good? Okay, so the answer, we're going to answer the middle, it doesn't mean anything. High income countries. The number of over 65s will double in low and middle income countries, but not in high income countries by 2050. Yep. Because we're seeing, what is it called? Age average, what's it called again? Life expectancies grow in low and impoverished country income places. But, you know, we like to think of them as people living in dirt and they're all going to die young. That's what we've been sold for so long. It's right, there'll be plenty of time for annoyance. And next question. Today, 65% of the world's population are of working age, 15 to 64 years old. What do UN experts think this number will be in 2100?
For our online viewers, the answers are 50%, 60%, or 70%. Which of those do we...
I remember 4 years ago, before this was updated, it gets updated every year, right? I just read a book, which I'll tell you about at the end of this, which had taught me some amazing statistics. And I'm fallible like everyone else. I can be wrong, probably more than most people, but I like to be as, I like to think that I'm exhaustive in trying to follow the dots and the sources of stuff, right? So I was pretty confident in this. And I said something that was actually positive to people during a sermon that related to the gospel. And there were a couple of new people that came in that I knew were politically aligned with me, right? So they actually agreed with what I was saying. But they rejected it so hard that they walked out before the service ended because it was not what they thought. Because it wasn't what they thought. It's not what they've been taught. It's not what they believed. So it doesn't matter even sometimes how politically aligned you are with someone. It doesn't matter how much evidence there is to show stuff. People will still reject it. Sometimes. All right, let's see. Today, 65% of the world's population are of working age, 15 to 64 years old, and I was sad when that happened too, by the way. What do UN experts think this number will be in 2100? We got one right. Yes.
Hey, for
60%.
us, it was 60%.
Always answer B. All right, next, we're only going to be able to do one of these quizzes. I'd love for everybody to be so excited to come to another one and do the refugee one, but all right, there are currently 8 billion people on Earth, we've heard that before. How many people do UN experts think there will be in 2100? Now, an easy way to weasel out of this is just to say, well, UN experts aren't really experts. We don't believe in the UN. None of those people are educated. We reject anything that's happening unless it agrees with you, and then agree with them. So there are 8 billion people on the Earth. How many people the UN experts think there will be in 2100? 10.5 billion, 16.5 billion, around 22.5 billion. That's a good statement, Veronica. Birth rates in war-torn countries go through the roof. So it doesn't depend on how many wars there are. Because if birth rates go through the roof, with poverty and war, then that's going to make more people. All right, are we okay with that one? No. Lovely, because I probably didn't. All right, we're going to answer B because it's always correct. Oh, 10.5 billion. Good job. In 2022, UN experts published forecasts expecting there will be a global population of 10.3 billion by 2100. The uncertainty of the forecast ranges between 8.8 and 12.4. Well, not really if you look at it in billions. What share of all countries? Next question, thank you very much. What share of all countries will have fewer people in 2050 than they have today if current population trends continue? Thank you so much. Thanks. That's great. I need it.
Is it 5%, 15%, or 25%?
How are we going? I'm going to put my this is now my busking hat, so. Good. Yeah, you can put your empty coffee cups in there, yeah. I do indeed accept chips, yes. How are we going? Are we all right to? All right, we're going to answer middle because that's what we do. 25%. UN experts expect 25% of countries will have fewer people in 2050 compared to today. But the scourge of the earth is people, because the population will keep coming, will keep consuming, and will destroy the earth. So think of all of the implications and things we've been told. Then think about geopolitical situations. Think about how that affects birth rates. Think about how people who maybe before didn't have electricity, did not have access to birth control, that now do, compared to 10 years ago, how that affects population growth. Think about education, how that affects population growth. Anyway, getting on a soapbox. All right, Josiah, we've only got 3 right. What's going on? All right. 30 years ago, less than 25% of the world's population lived in middle-class countries. What is the share today? Around 15%, around 45%, around 75%. Blame everything on China. Oakley dokley. How are we going? Are we all right to move on? 30 years ago, less than 25% of the world's population lived in middle-income countries. What is the share today? We're going to say middle because we always do. Around 75%. Around 75% of people today live in middle-income countries. Yeah, 84% of people got this wrong. So don't be annoyed if you got it wrong. Don't be upset if you got it wrong. It's common. I would have got this wrong when I first answered it. Yeah. Yeah. And again, I will give you the website which gives you all of the reasons and all of the data behind this once we're done. And it's fine if you still think you're right, over and above all of that. That's perfectly fine. It's fine. I have really good psych consultants you can go to. So, all right. No, well, it doesn't matter in that point, but it's fine, yeah. All right, next question. It took 12 years for the world's population to grow from 6 to 7 billion people. Only 12 years. How long did it take from 7 to 8 billion? If it only took 12 years to get from 6 to 7, how long did it take to get from 7 to 8?
Is it 2 years, 7 years, or 12 years? Those are the answers to select from.
Don't ask Josiah those kind of things. It's not fair.
He only knows the answers when he clicks. Same as he sends us.
Good man.
Go back and think.
I'm not one of the many, many people who put this together. How are we going? It is slow torture, yeah, I agree. I didn't expect it to be this slow. All right, we're going to choose B because we always do. Oh, we're wrong, 12 years. So 89% of people got this wrong. So if you got this right, you're in the vast minority, right? So don't feel bad if you got this wrong. It took 12 years. Again, this is one you can argue with, but this is one that's even harder to argue with because we have objective, very, very clear objective data. It took 12 years for the world's population to grow from 7 to 8 billion people. What did I say previously to the last question? Education. The prevalence of contraception affects birth rates, right? Okay, good. Next question. We're getting there. We are getting there. Good. How many of the world's 195 countries, I thought we only had like 10 or so, do the UN experts expect to decrease in population size between now and 2050? Around 10 countries, around 30 countries, around 50 countries. What is a country?
One that calls itself a country.
Goodness me. That's what I was saying, but getting more specific to try to make ourselves feel realised.
It'll include the Virgin Islands and Brazil. Because they're both countries.
Don't forget the room.
Room as well, and they've got totally different number of people.
No, that would be ridiculous. That would mean Australia was sending people who are trying to seek asylum to a foreign country. No, that can't be right. We wouldn't be that unethical.
History's a strange beast.
All right, we're ready to go on. How many of the world's 195 countries, you can debate that, do UN experts expect to decrease in population size between now and 2050? We're answering B. What? It's 50. If you got that wrong, you're in good company because 79% of people did. Well done, you're perfect, Paula. Excellent work. UN experts expect around 50 countries to decrease in population by 2050. All right, next question. Yeah, we don't deserve to be, yeah. So the next question, which part of the world has the largest genetic diversity, meaning variation of human DNA? So anything that you see on these graphs, or that you kind of experience in these questions, are good things to bring up when we start discussing stuff. Like, why would New Zealand and Australia not be on there, right? They're not bad questions. So C is all Russia, right? B is all America, isn't it? Oh, that's Africa. Sorry, I had no idea. A is all America. Okay, good, yeah, good. Excellent, yeah.
The United States hasn't got any diversity in it.
Our poor live stream viewers will have
All right,
no
we're ready
idea
to
what's
move
going
on?
there.
All right, so can I read that question again? Sorry, Josiah. Oh, we got it right. B. Wow, I'm incredible. About 76% of people answer wrongly, so feel fine if you answered wrongly. There is more DNA variation in Africa. Okay, so I'll say that again for people that weren't listening, and it's fine if they weren't, because I didn't ask them to. There is more DNA variation in Africa, because that is where humans originated. People in the Americas, Asia, and Europe all descended from smaller groups of Africans. We need to do some personal Bible studies. That'd be good. All right, next question. Good. No, not at all. In this image, the world's population is split into 3 income groups, divided at $2 a day, $24 a day. Which option, A, B, or C, best shows group sizes in 2022? So remember, if you get it wrong, it doesn't matter, because this was like 3 years ago. Oh my gosh, it must be so different. So, world population by income, 10% of the world's population, right? $2 or $25 a day. Remember, this kind of data is quite easy actually to All right, so we've got here the first line is extreme poverty, right? The middle one is, chattel. And then you've got the third one, which is rich countries' poverty line. So we've got extreme poverty, we've got between that, and then we've got a rich country's poverty line. And you'll find how evil you are if you judge people who are living below the poverty line in your country by, well, they're in a rich country, so it's not that poverty anyway, right? So. All right, I'll ask the question again, then we'll move on. Sorry, Josiah. In this image, the world population is split into 3 income groups, divided at $2 a day and $24 a day. Which option, A, B, or C, best shows the group sizes in 2022, which was 3 years ago? All right, we're going to answer randomly. What? C? So for those online, 80% of people answered this incorrectly. Around 10% of all people on a daily income of less than $2 a day. 10%. Around 20% have a daily income of more than $24 a day. Again, people online, I know this is tricky for you. I apologize. Come and visit us next time. Good. All right, next question. We've only got 3 more to go. I'm not going to make you do the next one, as excited as I was about that, because this has taken longer. All right. Today, more than 5 Today, more than 5 times more people live in towns and cities than in 1950, the golden era when everything was perfect and everyone was completely ethical all the time. What happened? I added that. What happened to the rural population? A, it almost halved. B, stayed about the same. C, almost doubled. Today, more than five times more people live in towns and cities than the perfect scenarios of the 1950s. What happened to the rural population? Remember, the 1950s were when men were men. They didn't get offended by anything unless you were wearing hats at the table or you didn't agree with every political situation they took, right? So, I'm kidding. 1950s was great as well. Good fashion scene. All right, sweet. We're going to answer the middle one. Josiah, geez, you're constantly wrong. The rural population also increased. 82, well, no, you can say not in Australia, Trev, but yeah, I want you to check those stats and come back to me. Just 82% of people got this wrong. When we have 2 groups and one increases, we automatically think the other will decrease. But both urban and rural populations increased because the total population increased, right? See how easy, this is exciting stuff because you know how I say sometimes on Sunday mornings, how easily we are both left and right. I am not interested in left and right hating each other, right? I'm really not, at all. I don't want to prove one right and the other one wrong. We are all so easily manipulated by media because they can use statistics and twist them and keep out whatever they want and add in whatever they want and make us angry about the things that align with us, okay? So that's what this is all about, right? And I said some silly things about the 1950s, which, you know, I was just being funny. There are things that I love about that and there are things that I don't. Yeah, this is... All right, next one. Good.
How many did you say questions there were?
None of your business. All right. That's right. That's right. Around half of the world's population is below 33 years of age, 43 years of age, thank gosh that's me still, and 53 years of age. And bear in mind, this is not based on anything political. These are not political stats. These are objective statistics. And again, I will give you the information and the websites that you can trawl through to see how they gathered this data, okay? Thank you. It's a lovely coffee. Well done. Are we ready to move on? Excellent. All right. So around half the world's population is below 33 years of age, 43 years of age, 53 years of age. 33 years of age. If you got this wrong, you're in good company. So did 70% of all other people, right? So it's amazing how wrong we are statistically about the world. We shouldn't feel bad about being wrong because we're in good company, right? All right, next question. We're very close to the end. I thought we'd get through this like twice as fast and we could do the refugee one too, but we won't. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. All right, what percentage of the world's population lives in countries where women on average have 5 or more babies? Oh my goodness. Around 3%, around 33%, around 63%. Okay, are we ready? A very quick costume change, yes, good. What percentage of the world's population lives in countries where women on average have 5 or more babies? B, come on, B. 3%. Wow. Now that population stuff that we didn't agree with at the start starts to make more sense. Maybe what we were saying about education and contraception could be accurate. All right, we're very close to the end before we can start saying how incredibly wrong this survey is and sacrificing me to the survey gods. All right, next one. Summary, here we go. We messed up, Josiah. Sorry, mate.
I'm sorry.
These questions were selected because most people are wrong about them. Okay? So, and it's really important that we're wrong about them. So I'm not going to tell you why we're wrong about them because my shirt clearly says, by man eat fish, he day. Teach fishman to a lifetime. Excellent. So, if we can open the questions or statements, is there anything about this? I'm sure none of you were surprised about any of the answers. You all got them 100% right, like the quiz said. I don't need you to tell me your answers, like how well you did, but is there anything about this quiz that actually surprised you? Yes, over there. Sweet, excellent. Can you say that again? Thank you for that.
I'm surprised, like, how many countries have risen up to the middle income status.
Yep.
In the world.
100%. I completely agree. And just to make it clear, it doesn't mean that everything's perfect and everything's wonderful and that we all now agree with Hegel and that everything will get better and better all the time. It doesn't mean we rest on our laurels. But yes, I was completely surprised about that as well. That there is this general lifting up. However, and I think this is actually very important, thank you for saying that, this is very important, certainly in our current situation. If we start devaluing things like science, if we start devaluing things like human rights, then these statistics will change. And I think that would be a real shame. Yep.
I think it's pretty safe to say that the US has been the major financial backer that's led to this increase. And now that's changed a lot very quickly.
Yep. Yes, and again, just like these questions are not political, and I will absolutely give you the website to go to check that out, that's not actually a political statement. Like, objectively, And there are other countries that are absolutely rivaling the US now in their power and finance and things. Objectively, they have pulled back from things like the UN, from the World Health Organization, from many other financial means of supporting those lower income countries to have things like contraception and better education, all that sort of stuff, which has actually made this a positive outcome. That's not saying they'll always be negative, and you know, that isn't a political statement, it's an objective one. Yes, Brian.
I think that it's at least 20 years ago or more that the UN was specific about eliminating low poverty and all that sort of thing. So it's nice. I actually find this quite encouraging, even though I don't know the answers. It's just good to be educated and not to live in ignorance, and I think that's a really positive thing. Maybe we're too competitive and we want to score well, but I just find it such a good learning experience to think that the things that the UN, which often get bagged out, their health initiatives and their education initiatives and their support for things like women's rights and the like, actually having a positive effect in the world. So
Yep. That's a great reflection, Brian. And myself, I'm quite often quite harsh on politicians and politics. However, they do good work as well, you know, and it's not easy being in that position. And as you've said, the goals that were set out by things like the UN and other stuff like that, maybe they're not always perfectly realised, but there is improvement, and we can statistically, unpolitically, objectively measure that. And population stuff is a really good way of doing that. Refugee stuff, I would have loved to have gone through. We don't have time, and I can't do back-to-back Theocafes on that, but we will get there eventually. So, anything else? Yes, Vicky. We've got one coming for you. There we go, Vicky.
I'd just like to ask, did anybody watch that program on SBS called The Secret DNA of Us? Fascinating. They picked 3 different areas in Australia, and everybody volunteered to have their DNA taken, and in places where they thought they were British, they turned out to have a background of German, European, from Finland. It was a fascinating program, Reverend Clay, if you would like to watch it.
Thank you, Vicky. That's great. I fairly recently found out I'm far more Scandinavian than I thought I was. Absolutely. Yeah. I thought I was English, Scottish. I mean, look at me, ridiculous, so pasty, and then whatever else. But yeah, no, more Scandinavian. All right. Anybody else find any of this surprising or interesting? I want this. I'm hoping this is uplifting, because to be honest, when I first learned about this, it was from a book called, and like, you can completely reject any advice I give anyone. I don't expect you to accept it, but I got a book called Factfulness: 10 Reasons You're Probably Wrong About the World and Why It Matters, by Hans Rosling, right? And so this is where, out of that book, is where I did a quiz similar to this, because it was in 2017 that I got that book. And I was so wrong about most of the questions. So I genuinely mean, do not feel bad about being wrong about this. That's a good thing, because it can really begin a great learning situation. And the let me read that again. So Gapminder is the website, and Hans Rosling and he's now deceased, unfortunately, but his family and the UN and everything are continuing to update this kind of stuff. it's wonderful because it was so uplifting. It didn't make me feel like, oh, we're, again, if any of you have read philosophy, the sort of Hegelian thing of constant progression and we're getting better and better. I reject that. But, it didn't make me think everything's great, we need to rest on our laurels, but it was really uplifting to show that, some things actually are having great effect and things are getting better in certain areas. But again, as I said, I preached something about war, which I didn't get to because I didn't get to the refugee stuff or anything, one Sunday, and people who agreed with me, I knew they did, politically and stuff, got so angry that I was being positive about something. They walked out before I finished, And I think just as we should be very skeptical about people that, claim certain things, we should also be skeptical about being pessimistic all the time about the world, because some things are better than what we think. And that should give us hope. So, Gapminder, if you go to, I'm not finishing yet, so don't worry, but if you go to Gapminder, if you just go to Google and go to Gapminder and then upgrade, it will send you on to this quiz and another quiz and a whole bunch of information about how they've gathered that data. So they're not hiding anything. They will give you every little bit of information of how they've gathered the data and why it matters. Yes, Vicky. So we'll get a microphone coming to you, Vicky. I probably can't answer it, Vicky, but yes, question.
It perplexes me when I watch the news about, which I try to avoid, all these terrible people who've had their houses bombed out.
Yeah.
They're dying of malnutrition, but the one thing that they have is their mobile phone in their hand.
Oh yeah, sure.
How do you judge that?
Yeah, easily. So if you go back to the 1950s and 40s, if people were having their houses bombed and everything, would they have a newspaper in their hand? Okay, so I'll say it another way. Mobile phones are not luxury items. They were 40 years ago, they were luxury items, right? They are common items today. So if I go to do archaeology, which I've done on the West Bank, I will find ornate pottery in the ground everywhere. Beautiful looking pottery. And I'll think, wow, this person must have been wealthy because they have beautiful pottery. No, absolutely not. It's just common. They have it. It's the same with mobile phones today. People fleeing poverty will have mobile phones. It does. Where in the world doesn't have electricity? Name a nation that doesn't have electricity in the world today. Name a nation in the world that doesn't have electricity today. How does that change having a mobile phone? So why should you not have it then? Okay, so why would they not have it?
Okay, I think I understand that.
Okay, so no. I want to continue to answer this.
I think
so.
the
If I
implication is
had
the
a
phone couldn't
mobile
be
phone
charged, it
today,
stops working.
which I do have, and that is, I think, most of the Western world's easiest way to communicate with other people, and say, I'm not going to say any like an alien nation came down and bombed Australia, right? Took over Australia, and I'm now fleeing with my life. I wanted to go to the embassy that would give me the legal way to get to, I don't know, America. I don't know why I'd go there, but okay, so it would give me the legal way to go there, right? But I know that trying to get there would 80% get my family killed, right? So I'm deciding to go with people who I know have connections that can at least get me to the shore and get me to another country which is safer for my family, right? Now my phone's not working at the moment, but why would I throw it in the trash or in the water when it's for most of my life been the only way of communication? That would be
ridiculous of me, and it would be absolutely unfair to the rest of my family when it's possible that I could get signal somewhere. So why would I throw that away? It could potentially be something I could sell at the other country to get some money. Why would I throw anything away when I have nothing else?
I think what Vicky's getting at is that because what we see is only the damaged buildings, we don't see the buildings that are still standing. If all the power has been knocked out in the country, how can they charge their phones? Is that it, Vicky?
I just don't. It doesn't compute up, and it could be I could be simple, but it doesn't compute up here.
We aren't shown that all the power is out. We're assuming it is because all we see is bomb buildings. We don't see the buildings still standing.
Yeah, but in my mind, if the reality is all of the power is out, and again, it could be simple, why would we throw our mobile phones away anyway? So why are we questioning why they have them?
But there are some.
Yeah.
So hang on.
We
Apart,
don't know.
unless you live in Gaza.
We don't know the power is out. We're
The
assuming
power,
it
the
is.
power's not out. All the power is not out. We're talking about Gaza, Palestine, aren't we? Yeah. The power is on because it comes from Israel. It's on some hours of the day, right?
It comes from there.
It comes from Israel, so it's on. It's on for some hours of the day, right? And because we're all
They choose when it's
all humans are on the same, and we're clever. I've seen it on news reports, and I've read about it. People plug 50 phones into a charger to plug them up, right? They are absolutely essential. Like to get your lentils and your rice and stuff, you have to communicate with people with your phone.
Yep.
And the thing, like if you
Well,
if
no,
you
the question was, why do they still have their phones?
May I interject?
Vicky has just agreed with me that the question was that. Well,
yeah, they do have power. You're
but even if they didn't,
you're assuming something which isn't true.
no, yeah.
You said that they don't have power. They do have power.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, so Vicky, thank you for your question, and it's a good question, and everybody who has said something here has said something absolutely relevant, and it's a good question. The way that I was trying to answer, and everybody else has added into that beautifully, and I genuinely mean that. Maureen and Adam, very good. I'm not against that. Is that even if they did not have any power or any way to charge that or get any kind of service, why would you throw anything away that could be potentially valuable as you're going through? Well, that is the question then. That's exactly the question. Well, my answer is,
But you can use
why
it.
would you throw anything away that would have any value that you can easily hold on to? If there's any chance of you getting connection again for where you're going to or selling it or...
I
Well,
think
that's all that they have left.
you've
It's a good... and I agree.
Yeah, but we've
I
just
agree.
said that it is. Like, just can we state a fact, right? They have power. It's not on 24 hours a day. You got to think of situations like this, even in the worst situations, like concentration camps and prisons. There is a hell of a lot of creativity and resourcefulness because we're humans.
Yeah.
So we use what we have to be able to communicate with each other. We sell stuff. We organise things. There are people that have solar panels which they've bought. Not everyone's poor. There are some wealthy people still that live in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip. You know, it's it's not like that. It's about finding out what the truth is.
Yeah.
And I just want to say one more thing. Do you remember the Arab Spring, like all the uprisings?
I was in Bethlehem
Yep.
when that started.
So
Yeah.
they were all organised via mobile phone. Let's meet in Tahrir Square in Cairo to try and overthrow the government. So they're essential for people.
This is an excellent situation of where actually everybody is right, because Maureen wasn't saying. She was trying to point out that actually, you know what, sometimes the the power is still actually on, you know. And you're pointing a great, absolutely specific situation out where most people, a lot of people, certainly previous to the last 5 years, assume things about the genocide in Gaza, and that's not justified. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah, and I stand beside that. And I have reason to assume that, and I've been there. I saw it well before this flared up. Yeah. No, absolutely right, I agree. That is an assumption I'm making, and it's a statement the UN's backed up, which I'm quite happy about. But, yeah, so Paul, sorry mate, you've been waiting for a while, I think. Yeah, go for it.
So aside from the whole solar power thing, there's also these little batteries that people charge. This is for the benefit of see this thing here? I can recharge my phone 4 times from that.
Amazing.
Full 4 charges.
Doesn't have to, it's solar.
So I can charge this from an outlet, but there are also ones that you can buy that have solar panels on them, and you just pop them in the sun and plug them into your phone, and they just charge from the sun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. That's great. And that's why I ask these questions. And we're basically Neanderthals in a lot of Western countries compared to places like China. And their technology is so much more advanced than ours, you know? Yes, Brian.
Aside from that, moving on, I did
sorry.
actually have
Yes,
another
Paul.
one.
Good, yes.
Yes, so talking about an assumption that I believed was that more people had moved to cities, excuse me, and that less people lived in rural areas. So that the fact that the population had grown in rural areas more surprised me.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out why, because as people know, it's harder to access things like hospitals, medical services, and that living in rural areas. And so I just assumed that there'd been this shift that people would move towards the cities.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out something that might sort of change that. And I remembered some years back I was working for a company that worked with Dell computers, and Michael Dell was running with Bill Gates something called Project Red, which was to bring medical services and vaccines to third world countries. And I sort of thought, well, you know, I guess maybe services like that would influence people and, you know, any potential agenda to move towards like cities rather than to stay in rural areas.
Yep. That's fantastic, Paul. And no, I think one of the most positive things I take out of this kind of stats is that politics, and because so often media companies and different political parties will try and turn us against each other. And quite often, actually, we want the same and very similar things, but we just find different ways of trying to get there. So what I love about some of these stats is that politics and consumer media doesn't always win out. You know, we can see some improvement, which is wonderful. Sorry, Brian, and then we'll go over there. Absolutely. I think he's had this old mic in his hand longer. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just making sure.
Next
Yeah,
in
go.
the queue.
I'm next.
You're next, Brian.
Brian.
Go for it.
Many years ago, I had the opportunity to go to Uganda, and it was interesting to me, having come from a situation where phone systems were all landline based, and then we switched to a mobile.
Sure.
To see the advance of technology, I think, has set up countries for communication on a far more global scale, which allows these things. And I think the technology for keeping it alive and going is something that's going to benefit all of the world.
Yep.
A couple of other things. I think for many years people have been, let's say within Christian circles, but it's not entirely within that. Mission organisations have often functioned on doing social justice work, providing hospitals, medical, health-related things, education, support, all on the ground. So one would assume that part of the benefit that the world has achieved is in line with the work that goes on out of wanting to spread the gospel and not just announcing a message but actually being practical with it and providing support around all of those sorts of things. I also have had this debate with many people over the years who constantly want to tell me that the world is getting worse and worse and worse.
That's right, yeah.
And I would suggest that the things that history is full of are there for us today. They're not necessarily worse. And what we see today is a whole lot of positive initiatives that should give us hope that humanity will sustain itself and therefore have a need for God to be involved. Anyway, that's my outlook.
Thanks, Brian.
Hi. I should have thought a bit more before I tried to formulate my message while talking. But yeah, I appreciated the quiz tonight. It was good to see things from that positive view. But of course, I'm looking at 2100, which hasn't happened yet. Sure. And then on the light of these things, I look back and I go and think, okay, so we're talking about rates of birth rates, and then I think, okay, well, what's happening in America right now in terms of birth rights?
Oh, absolutely.
How's that impacted? And then I go and think, okay, what's happened in terms of aid to countries like Ukraine in terms of people who are starving? So how is these figures can be changed so fast.
Yep.
We're going, these are great figures, but what's happening there is dramatic changes. And those dramatic changes are going to have huge impacts.
Yep.
So where I'm seeing this wonderful joy, I don't know that, like I even think that those figures, if you wanted to put in the calculations of what's happening in America now, there'd be mass changes to what those figures 2,100 would look like compared to what we're seeing in those stats now. Yeah.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. Yeah, and they're fantastic reflections. And that, I think it is so important that we look at policy and as I said before, that we actually value things like science and we value things like human rights, not because it's ideological, and it always will be. There's always ideology in everything, right? But not just because it's an ideological thing, or not because you want to feel like you're a progressive or you want to feel like you're a conservative or whatever, but because they actually have recognizable benefit. And so if we are rewinding those things, like you just mentioned, what would be the outcome of that if it was worldwide, And we often just view through a Western view more than anything. But, yep, I think there's some real danger there. I think you've picked up some really good points.
I think with that, like from what I've read and watched, that there's a general recognition from, Canada, the EU, Japan, blah, 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 the Western world, that we've all relied on the US's carrying the heavy load for aid as well as military support. And it would have been great if 10 years ago that Obama had sort of spoken to all these people and said, look, just on the sly, there's going to come a time when you need to pay more for aid and more for military support and things like that. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And then we've got Trump sort of with like a hammer, just coming down and cutting all of these things. But I think it'll just be a restructuring. Trump will go. He'll die one day.
He's got 4 years.
He'll be gone. He'll be gone, and it'll be a more equitable system of aid, I would think. But I think it needs this downturn. This is from what I've heard on, like BBC Radio and things like that. Well, it would have been better if it never happened, but it has happened. So hopefully there'll be a positive restructure out of it.
And, part of you hopes that, really populist, idiocracy. If anybody's seen the movie Idiocracy, it is alarmingly, it should never be this possible.
right? So
I
you
think
would hope.
Idiocracy's president was a better man than Trump personally.
Well, again, but you would hope that there's lessons learned out of that. It's a whole society and culture that makes it possible for certain leaders to come to the front, and I don't want to be saying, yeah. I mean, it's a tricky situation. And the outcomes of those regimes are evident, but unfortunately, oftentimes they're evident after the fact, when people's lives have already been heavily impacted. And we're in a privileged situation here. I think most of us in this room, well, we're not going to have our lives impacted by that. And we probably won't. However, so many will, and are.
The media, politicians, people generally, it's because it's a scary thought, is that there are a lot of people that voted for Trump because a lot of people like parts of his platform.
Sure.
And we have to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But it's really not being acknowledged. It's not being spoken about. It's not being talked through in a logical, compassionate kind of a way. It's just like the left versus the right in a Facebook social media cage fight. You know, it's not a progressive way of living or talking about ideas. It seems like there's no. In the Anglican Church where two people with opposing views can sit down and
Via media?
Yeah, have a discourse. It's like a really, good idea because, people, they're like, as scary as it is, there are a lot of conservatives that really believe in a lot of the things that Trump wants, right?
For sure.
And you can't just let them sit there and be afraid of them and hate them. You've got to come to them and talk about it.
Yeah. And what's really heartbreaking is that a lot of, many nowadays are being hurt by that exact same thing because he's not a good businessman. He's not a good deal maker. He's a very good marketer. So he's not a conservative, So there's a lot of good conservative people who've been very hurt by what's happened, especially with the Epstein stuff and everything coming out today. That which is moving beyond what we're talking about now. But it's a tricky thing.
So I watched a video about free speech recently. No, I'm not going to bang on about that because we don't have time for that. But one of the things that the host of the talk said was, he said even bad people can do good things, but I'll Christianify it and say even people we disagree with will do things that we support. So when it comes to whether someone's conservative or progressive, there'll be things that conservative politicians do that we on the more progressive side agree with, and there'll be things that the progressive politicians do that we on the progressive side disagree with, and vice versa.
Yep.
Just throw that in there. What it's worth.
That's good. Yep. Again, this stuff is not partisan, which is the good thing about it. It sort of challenges all of us on all sides. It should be a bit of a leveler. Lovely. Oh, you're welcome. Don't thank me. I had nothing to do with any of this or any of the conversation. But I was just, that's good. Well done, everybody. Again, when I looked at this, there were two quizzes. One was the population stuff. The other one was the refugee stuff. But it took us so long to get through the conversation stuff, which is population stuff, which is understandable because it's tricky. So.
It's got your wireless mouse.
Yeah.
You've got to click through it at your own pace.
Well done, everybody. Again, go to that. I think the best way to go would be to go to just gapminder.org
and you'll find all of the way that this was made up and all of the evidence and stuff around it. So, excellent work.
Thank you for attending Theocafe. Theocafe is now closed.